All right. Hi, Laura. How are you today?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, I just have some questions that I would like to ask you to get to know you a little bit, and we can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So, my first question is, what brought you into the field of librarianship?
When I finished my undergraduate in 1998, there was some funding available for me to get my master's. At that time, there were only two certifications or two master's degrees where you could be paid for it, whether you were in the classroom or in that position. And library science was one of those, and that was the most appealing. And once I started the degree, it just developed such a passion for libraries that I knew I wanted to work in a school library just from that first semester.
Oh, that's really neat. So, it's almost like you stumbled into this
hmm
passion in a way.
And I remember one of my professors saying most librarians just kind of do end up stumbling into the profession.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good to know, probably for future students
Mhm,
and the rest.
mhm.
Well, thanks for answering that. My next question for you is kind of similar, but what is your background in librarianship?
So I'm school library. I was in a school or in the field for 20 years. My first 5 years were in a K-8 school, and then my last 15 years were at a high school here in Pitt County.
Okay, yeah, so like you've already mentioned, your passion really being in schools and that also just being your history as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned being passionate about librarianship. So what exactly is kind of the fire behind how you feel about librarianship, what you're passionate about in the field?
Libraries level the playing field for patrons and the community. We provide access to literature, knowledge. Now with maker spaces coming more and more common, tools, experts that the average person may not have access to otherwise.
So yeah, really passionate about that equity piece and making sure that knowledge and access is available for anyone. That is a really neat thing about librarianship that I think probably a lot of people may miss. So that's awesome. So next, I want to hear a brief description of your librarianship experience before starting at the university level.
So I've already kind of given that, but just to expand on it, my last 5 years were really dynamic in that we did a complete revamp and renovation of the library. We started a makerspace, a digital makerspace that ended up being really successful within that school.
Okay, awesome. Moving on, kind of maybe to where you're at now, what is the best advice that you can give to MLS students?
Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Uh, Email your professor, stay in communication. Communication is so key, especially in distance learning. And I never mind answering a question. And I tell my students in my opening video, if one person has that question, five other people have that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. As a distance learner myself, I think that's really, really great advice. What do you want students to know about when earning an MLS from ECU?
The field is wide open, and especially with our degree, you can get certified. You can apply for your public library certification regardless of if you're in school or academic. So there's just so many opportunities, and you can really make the job what you want it to be.
Mm, that's really encouraging for students and anyone who's an aspiring librarian to know that there's so much opportunity, especially at ECU. That is awesome. What courses do you teach in the program?
I teach the collection development course, which is a core course. All students have to take that one. And then I teach the leadership. an instructional strategies course for the school concentration. But of course, depending from semester to semester, I could always teach something different, just depending on the need.
Okay. Yeah, so those are the classes that future students can look forward to seeing you in. Whenever you are in the classroom, what is your teaching approach?
Gracious. Well, just giving clear instructions. I like to try to give assignments that slowly build up to the bigger projects and incorporate a lot of peer feedback before big projects. So I try to build in feedback from peers, but also feedback from me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds like a very collaborative environment. And
Try
so,
to.
yeah. So on top of that, what can students expect when taking one of your courses, like in addition to that?
Um, well, there will be lectures with video quizzes, just to make sure that you're paying attention and that you kind of get the key points of the lecture. Um, of course, there's that feedback piece, and the projects are designed to be real world, authentic. It's not busy work. This is what you will be doing in the field. And
Okay.
I'm sure that's for all of our courses.
It's probably music to students' ears. No busy work, just work that is applicable. That's cool. So kind of stepping away, I guess, from teaching, what are your research interests?
Maker spaces, leadership, helping librarians, specifically school librarians, because I do teach that course, but helping them realize and find their leadership potential within their position or their school building, because we do have public librarians that take that leadership course. And then collaboration, because collaboration is the key to a successful school library, but collaboration is a big piece of any library. And again, a lot can be applied in the public library, which again, students take that leadership course. So maker spaces, leadership, and collaboration.
Cool. So kind of this holistic view of librarianship in your research interests. So on top of that, what are the opportunities for students to be involved in research?
Well, that is such a great question. And I would suggest by first just reading, find those journals that are geared towards your interest, read those journals, get on the listservs, and that's how you'll start beginning to get into the inner circle. I'm a big fan of follow the gurus on Twitter because that's always so current.
Mm, yeah, so kind of stay with the times, maintain a posture of like curiosity and learning. And I guess then kind of like you mentioned earlier, you'll end up stumbling into something that you find yourself really passionate about just by being curious.
Yes.
That's cool.
And read the research that's already out there, which goes back to what I was saying about reading the journals,
Mm-hmm.
which
That
you
makes
have
sense.
access to, students you have free access to through Joiner. They have so many journals that you can choose from.
Yes, that is definitely a perk of being a student, having all that access. And so we are now at our last question, and I just want to know what a fun fact is about you.
It may not be fun, but I kind of personal, but also professional. I am really big into reading and learning all about productivity in all facets of life. So many times people think of productivity as doing more. And the more you read about it, it's really about staying laser focused and finding a good balance between professional and personal life. So that's one of my side passions.
Oh, awesome. Well, Laura, thanks for talking with me today and sharing all of this. I'm sure that current and future students are going to gain so much from hearing about you and your interests.
Well, thank you for interviewing me today. I enjoyed it.